first off, before I review the game, I had to buy it, so I headed into Costco because I heard that you could actually get 10% off of the original retail price at Costco. So I made my way in there, and that's where I found Donkey Kong Bananza for $63 instead of the $70 price tag. So if you've got a Costco membership, you've got to check it out. But I went ahead and paid for it, made my way out the store, gave it one final goodbye wave, and then I made my way to my house, where immediately when I got home, I just opened it up and grabbed the cartridge and put it in my Switch 2 because I was so excited to play this game. I've been anticipating this for so long. I played the demo, and honestly, the demo itself got me hooked and was a ton of fun. And so let's go ahead and talk about everything I've played so far and kind of my very first thoughts about picking the game up and playing it for around 6 hours. Now, I know it could have been a bit longer, but unfortunately I had to work and I didn't take off, which is a dumb mistake on my part. But so far, I feel like Donkey Kong Bananza is absolutely awesome. Pretty much, if you took Donkey Kong 64, threw in a little bit of Rampage, as well as threw in elements from Super Mario Odyssey, you take all three of these, you put them together, you throw them into one game, and that's gonna get you Donkey Kong Bananza for the Switch 2. And honestly, this game so far has been an absolute blast. I'm really enjoying it. Now, like I said, I'm only 5 to 6 hours into it, but so far, I think this is a game that if you enjoy Donkey Kong, or if you enjoyed Mario Odyssey, or anything like that, this is a game you'll definitely enjoy. Now, I tried to kind of stay away from reviews and everything so I could bring my own take into it. But so far what I was seeing was overall this thing was getting a really high score. And in fact, at the moment of recording this actually had the best Metacritic score of a Donkey Kong game, which should tell you something. However, I have a few gripes. Honestly, it's only really one, but we'll get to that. First off, you're kind of set open into this little mine area, which I'm going to try not to spoil anything crazy for you for this game, but there'll be a few here and there. Not any story points, though. I'm going to keep that as vague as possible. You're basically in a mine, you dig deeper into the core, and that's when you'll finish the game, probably, or escape and all that stuff. But at the first, you're just thrown into a mine, and you're kind of wandering around, and it's this big room, and you literally, if you want to, can go around and destroy everything, which is actually what I did when I played this demo and when I played it for the first time. I smashed a lot of things in that first room and had a blast just kind of figuring out the controls and kind of exploring, which I think is a really cool aspect about this. And then I made my way to that first banana, you bust it up, and then you kind of go on from there. And while I was in the first level or sub-layer of the crust, or of the planet itself, or whatever this thing is, I actually was just completely wandering around, and I fell into this room where it was just filled with gold, and I spent 5 minutes just smashing all the gold up, from the floor to the ceiling, on the walls, everywhere. And then I noticed there was some bananas at the end. I went and smashed those, and then I accidentally finished the level, which was something that I thought was pretty interesting, considering you could go the traditional route and follow what they want, or you can just explore. And like I had explored and just kind of fell through and made my way to the next level on complete accident, which I thought was really funny. And this was before I had grasped that the bananas would unlock things and take you to the next levels. So now I understand how that works. But then I kind of got into the game more and more, whether it's picking something up and throwing it at something to destroy an enemy, or picking up something and surfing on it, whether you're in the water, which is called surf, which I think is really funny, or if you're on the ground, which is called turf surf. Both of those are a ton of fun things to do. Yeah, I'll probably see myself doing that more and more. The more open the levels become, the more I'll probably be doing that. But so far, I have absolutely been loving this. Like I said, that first level, you kind of get to explore, and that's when I figured out pretty much all of the basic controls. And then I kind of worked my way into the other levels that I've gotten to, and you can actually get bananas, which then unlocks skill points, which then basically unlock things you can do as Donkey Kong, whether you're gonna ground punch or ground slam harder or punch harder, or there's this mechanism where you can actually slap the ground and it kind of does this like sonar that tells you if stuff is near. So sometimes you'll go somewhere and slap the ground and find a banana buried beneath you, and you'll just dig down to it and get a banana by using your sonar, which is really cool. And so things like that from the skill tree are cool because you can level up your Donkey Kong, which I was not expecting to do. I actually think that's kind of a cool thing, and there's more things you can unlock as well the more you go into it. However, the one thing that I did, and I found myself doing a lot, is basically just destroying, like I mentioned earlier, Rampage. I was literally destroying levels and just kind of exploring them. Not destroying them to be destructive, just to kind of see what was underneath. See how I could go around things that I was meant to blow up. Well, if it was underground and I was meant to blow it up, I could just tunnel around it. Or if it was a wall, I could just tunnel under it and then tunnel back up. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of manipulate how you would play your game style to the game, which I think is really awesome and kind of gives this like creative aspect of it as well. You can kind of journey through the game instead of just going point to point to point. If you want, you can just pretty much free roam. I mean, it's as open world as it can be, but it's a ton of fun. I've absolutely loved it. I've been destroying things, but digging really deep in some things, this is where my only gripe comes in. Sometimes the camera angle is a little weird here, and I don't know why that is. And maybe it's just because you are digging down deep, and sometimes it'll be like where it's transparent around you, and so you're kind of just wandering, and then sometimes you won't dig far enough in for it to go transparent, and then you're just staring at the rocks on the ground. And so maybe they could find some way to fix that. If I'm really nitpicking, that's probably the place that I would try to fix, because it is a little weird, it is a little wonky, but to be fair, the game looks absolutely awesome on the Switch too. Now, I was playing about 4 hours on a TV, and then I took it off and started playing it in handheld mode, and I was legitimately shocked by how good the game looked in handheld mode. I really wasn't looking for it to be anything spectacular, but just sitting on that home screen with it there was absolutely insane. And then playing the game looked really good from the handheld position, which I thought was an interesting thing to see, because everyone likes to talk smack and trash on the Switch too, but so far I've really been enjoying it. So if you are thinking about getting Donkey Kong Bananza and you don't already have it, but you have a Switch 2, I think you gotta buy this. This is probably the game of the year from the Switch 2. Probably game of the year overall. This thing is gonna be insane. I can't wait to get into it more, and I'll probably make another video talking about it a little bit more than I have here, because this is kind of just an early impressions, first look, kind of my early quick thoughts about it. But honestly, this game is awesome, and this might be a hot take, but I think this game might end up being better than this game. I haven't finished it yet, but it's basically this on steroids, so you guys might hear me talk more about this and mention that it's better than this. I'm on the fence right now because I haven't played all the way to the end, so I'm holding that back before really being like, yes, I think this is better, but I'm sort of leaning that this is better. So if you are on the fence about it, hopefully that helps you. But if you don't have a Switch 2, this might be a great reason to get a Switch 2. You're going to put plenty of hours into this game. Like I said, I'm like 6 hours into it, and I'm only on like level 4 out of like 16. This is going to go crazy. If you haven't picked this up and you want to, you definitely should. But also, if you haven't picked it up, retail stores have demos of this game. It's about 20 minutes long, and it's a ton of fun. And you can figure out for yourself if this is well worth picking up for you or not. But for me, I think this is awesome, and you should definitely pick it up. This is one of the first games from the Switch 2 that I've reviewed, and I think this is one that's definitely well worth it. And I think this will sell a bunch more copies of the Switch 2. But enough about that. If you've got the game, comment down below and let me know your early thoughts. But I gotta get out of here because I gotta keep playing this, so check that video out if you haven't already. But I think this will probably be my game of the year, unless something else comes along that's crazier. Maybe Metroid Prime 4 Beyond has a chance, but so far, this is where it's at. But enough about that. I gotta get out of here, so check that video out if you haven't already.